So coming up next, we have Resident Evil 4, New Game Professional, but this is the end of my hostship, so I'm going to throw it over to Usurbrain.
Hello, thank you so much for hosting, May, been absolutely wonderful, and thank you for having me. I'm going to be hosting for a short while, so I hope you will bear with me for a second. Just want to butt in and say we have a wonderful $1 donation from, I'm going to butcher this name, hold on a minute, Eruel, saying good luck on RE4, PS, don't forget the jet ski glitch. And with that, we should be also closing our Resident Evil 4 costume choice. In the lead, we have Special One by $66. But don't worry, we have other incentives that you can donate for. So if you just exclamation point incentives in the chat, you will see them. But without any further ado, I would like to welcome our wonderful runner and commentator, JoeKoh27, and Till's gonna say treacle. Oh no, it's already going wrong.
Tricle
Man.
It's all good.
Take it away, you two.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is JoeKoh27, or you can refer me as Joe, and I have my commentator here, Tricoman, or you can refer to him as Trike. So today we're gonna be doing Resident Evil 4 New Game Professional, and we are running the special run costume. I'm gonna count it down from 3. All right, so 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so the game takes place in Spain, I believe. I don't remember how many years exactly after Resident Evil 2, but it happens after Resident Evil 2. The president's daughter is kidnapped, and Leon is sent over. She was like last seen in Spain, and Leon is sent there to investigate, and that's the premise of this story. So, New Game Professional is currently the most popular category in Resident Evil 4 and the most explored category. It's basically you start the game from the very beginning, and you play it at the hardest difficulty without any previous inventories or anything, and then you beat the game from there. And it recently gained popularity, probably back, I don't remember exactly. I think JTB had an SGDQ run at 2015, and I think that's when New Game Pro really took off. So we see here from Joe, he switches to the grenade because if Leon is equipped with a weapon that doesn't require him using two hands, like a handgun or a machine gun, he runs about like 2% faster or something. So we use this in certain situations to go faster because speedrunning is all about going fast. And
coming up, we have the coming up we have the village fight. This is like the first kind of tricky fight in the game. It needs you to like basically kill 16 enemies to proceed to the next section.
Yeah, so the idea is that Joe has to kill one villager in this section. So we just picked that guy there because he's the easiest one to kill. But we basically are going to use 2 hand grenades to get our 16 kills. And so he has to kill the first guy because once he kills the first enemy and then throws that first grenade, as you just saw, it spawns a cutscene or triggers a cutscene that spawns more enemies, which allows us to kill enough enemies with our second grenade. And then it's also important to note that Leon has invincibility frames or iframes when he does certain animations. So basically he jumps over the fence during that grenade explosion, and then he doesn't get hurt at all, but the grenade will kill all the enemies. And it's also another important part too for New Game Pro, because you're starting the game from scratch, is that we have a treasure route. So basically we collect treasures and we sell them at the merchant to buy weapons. And so there's this very specific treasure route here that you'll see Joe get. So I believe that pendant is 10,000 pesetas, which is the currency in Spain. It's not the current one, obviously, but I think it's a very old one. I mean, don't quote me.
It's like an ancient currency. Now, obviously, they use euros nowadays.
Yeah. So we have this boulder section coming up. So it seems pretty straightforward, just mashing it, but we did find out that it's better to mash consistently rather than just plain fast. Because if you mash fast and then slow, fast and slow, then you actually don't net enough out of it. And if you mash it consistently at medium speed, you get Leon runs faster. And the thing here is we noticed that he dodged a boulder past the tree. So basically, if you run fast enough and you wait until like the last second to jump through to dodge a boulder, you go past the tree, and that saves 1 to 1.5 seconds. which is very, very important. Not really, but you know, it's really cool to do when you first start off because it seems really easy, but it's really not.
The timing on that is also quite tight. If you press it like a slightly late, and you die.
Yeah, and then that's like a 15-second time loss. And then this section, the canyon coming up, you know, speedrunners like to go fast, but this is a particular section where going fast is beneficial because the enemies have a pretty set pattern. So, but if you go slow, then weird things can happen here. Okay.
I'm gonna reset checkpoint. I get the quite unfortunate pattern. Usually that guy would just turn around and swing me instead of like turning slow like that. I wasn't expecting that, so I just kind of got hit.
Yeah, sometimes this like in RE4, like that's always a meme. It's like,
Yeah,
you know, they always say like
what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to like swing like that instead of like turning slow.
Yeah. So like basically Joe got hit twice and that probably that would have slowed him down like enough so that like you get weird patterns throughout this whole thing. So like we really just want to go fast so that all the enemies are in a set pattern and then we're able to dodge everything. So it's also important to note that on professional difficulty, the difficulty of the game is locked to the highest possible setting. So what that means for us is that on other difficulties that aren't professional, the difficulty of the game varies. So the enemies their aggressiveness and damage that they do changes with the amount of damage or with the amount of difficulty you have. But on professional, that difficulty is locked to the highest. So all the enemies behave the same amount of aggressiveness, and as a result, you pretty much die in like 2 to 3 hits depending on the enemy. So, but the important part is that we can manipulate the enemies more easily. Okay, so coming up here, let's see if we get it. Okay, so there's a little manipulation there that Joe tried to do. So if you kick the door at a certain spot, pretty much the enemy points at you, but he didn't get it. So basically we're just moving on. And then the first aid spray, what he's going to do later, he's probably going to grab either a green herb. Ooh, that's an example of the iframe there. So he's either going to grab a green herb, okay, yeah, to fill up the spot, because the inventory in Resident Evil 4, it's a big deal in terms of saving time. We basically don't want to spend time looking through the inventory for what we need. So there is a certain order of how we pick up items, which is more important later in the run. So and here's a good time for a donation.
Alright, just let me double check the page, get that refresh in. Okay, we're going through a bit of a quiet period, so don't mind me as I'm going to plug in a charity. Just a reminder for everyone, we are benefiting Rise Above the Disorder this time around. It is a non-profit organization, and all the proceeds to Velocity go towards this organization. We take absolutely no cuts from it. And it is breaking down a bunch of barriers about mental health, and most importantly, providing all the access and affordability to the people who need it most around the world. They have already helped over 36,000 people, and we want that number to go up as much as it possibly can. So all your donations, no matter how big or small, we really do appreciate everything you guys do for us. And just as I say, we haven't got one. We have a $5 donation from Tic Tac. Thank you so much for hosting a race, and good luck to all the other runners. Thank you very much for that. We also have a couple of incentives. So one of my favorites, we have a Spyro-free reignited Spyro's color. So you can choose from black, which is Goth Spyro, pink, Fabulous Spyro, or yellow, Sunflower Spyro. And black is currently winning by $1. If you want to change things up, feel free to donate and put it towards the poll. And we also have some great naming incentives.
What are you selling?
Okay, so yeah, that's awesome. Donate for a great cause, you guys. Okay, so we see the merchant, so he's very iconic. Yeah, everyone knows him from his laughter and the fact that he has all the weapons. So with the treasures that Joe acquired, we want to sell it. And then we buy rocket launchers, because rocket launchers kills enemies fast. And you'll see the rocket launcher used later in the run, but we buy it here just because it's the fastest time to buy it. Yeah, so pretty much at the beginning of the game, we're just picking up weapons and just trying to avoid enemies. You'll notice in this, basically in this run, you just try to dodge all the enemies instead of just trying to kill them, because killing them would take longer.
Yeah, a lot of enemies are actually optional in this game, so we just run by most of them.
Yeah, another thing that's important as well to note is that not only does the difficulty matter, on Steam PC you can change the FPS of the game to 30 or 60. You can't change it in the middle of the game, but on 30 and 60 it's been theorized that the enemies in 60 FPS the enemies they process Leon twice as fast, or they scan Leon twice as fast. They're more aggressive on 60 FPS. For earlier on the bridge, when Joe had Leon jump over the bridge earlier, on 30 FPS, the enemies would have attacked Leon, but on 60, since they're more aggressive, they decide to jump towards Leon. So it's just something little cool to note. And FPS matters across generations of the game. So I believe the GameCube, PS2, Xbox 360, I think, and the Wii are 30 FPS. Don't quote me. RE4 has been released 15 times. And then and then Steam PC, PS4, Xbox One, Wii U, Switch are 60 FPS. Okay, so we're gonna come up on. Oh, yeah, you can go on, Joe.
So coming up, we have the first hard boss fight. His name is the Delago. It's like a lake monster. The thing that makes it hard is that you're stuck on a boat and you can only use harpoons instead of your normal weapons, and it's really awkward to navigate on a boat if you are new to the game.
Yeah, so pretty much on professional mode, the Delago, he takes 12 harpoons to kill the Delago. And you don't want to get knocked off the boat because that loses time and health. So Joe's going to do a very specific pattern in the beginning to get 3 harpoons in. But so here he's going to throw 1 harpoon, go to the very right. When the string is completely straight, he's going to throw 2 more. And the thing that's difficult about this, besides moving the boat, is identifying Delago's pattern. Because Delago's, his patterns are very... If you don't play the game a lot, then his patterns, some of them are really difficult to see. But the more you play it and you understand the little subtle movements that he does, then it makes more sense. So here we get a good pattern here. So what Joe just did is that he basically pulled Delago, or he went straight, and then waited for a certain time for Delago to come up. And then he was able to skip getting stunned. Okay, so that's very good. So basically get the best pattern here, which is the fastest pattern. It saves about 16 seconds over the slowest pattern. Yep, that was very good. So, and then from this point, we're going to transition into nighttime. So he's going to skip this cutscene coming up, but you're going to see these parasites come out of the enemy's head. The enemies are called Ganados. So the parasites, according to canon lore, they come out they're UV sensitive, so they don't come out during the day. They come out at night, but since they are light sensitive, your flash grenades can kill them in one hit. Hint, hint, that's really good if you're playing this game for fun or speedrunning it. But the game gets more scarier at night, at least from a casual perspective here. But it doesn't change our objective. We still want to go fast. And then we have time for a quick donation here, probably.
Amazing. Let me just get back up the page. We have a $20 donation from C1. C is the third letter in the alphabet. C1. Yes, agreed, my dude.
I agree as well.
C1, thanks for the $20.
Just want to say the donation amount is $1,000, 69. I can't dollar. I'm a pound person. I'm UK. $1,000. Look, it just says 6969 at the end. That's it.
69. Right, everyone spam nice in chat. Let's go. It's the nice amount.
We respect that. Okay, and then just another demonstration of Joe manipulating the enemies unprofessional. Because then basically you do that every single time they behave that way. And then he equips a rocket launcher. You'd think the rocket launcher would make you go slower, but remember, it's a weapon that doesn't require 2 hands to hold when you're running with it. So Leon gets that 2 or 4% speed boost here. And basically, we like to switch to it if we're running for an extended period of time. So we like to switch to a grenade or the normal rocket launcher. Fun fact, the infinite rocket launcher, Leon runs with it with 2 hands, so he does run slower with it. And then upcoming, we're going to get the hardest boss of the game. So it's a very technical boss, so Joe can explain what's going to happen.
Yeah, so it's like a giant monster, and he's dead.
Yeah, it was very difficult. Like, it took us really long to figure out how to kill this boss. And yeah, I'm being sarcastic, but but yeah, that's the point of our rocket launchers. Otherwise, normally this boss, El Gigante, he's very durable. He takes a lot of shotgun shells and handgun bullets or grenades or whatever. It takes a lot to kill on a casual playthrough. But we are able to manage our inventory and our treasures in order to carry that rocket launcher and be able to buy more rocket launchers later down the road. So fun fact, the dogs, you basically, as long as you don't run straight at them, they won't jump on you. And then you'll see the dogs come up again later where we'll explain a camera manipulation trick, but basically just don't run straight at them and you're good. And we're about to pick up, oh, go on.
About the rocket launcher, it's really broken in this game for the relatively cheap price of 30,000 pesetas. You can one-shot pretty much everything. Compared to like the other weapons, it costs like a lot more than that.
Yeah, so we basically pick up Ashley.
Alright, you can go on. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So we pick up Ashley. This is the President's daughter. So we found her. But as we can see, we're only in chapter 2, and there are 5 chapters in this game, so we got a long way to go. Basically, Leon's just trying to escape with Ashley to bring her home. The thing about Ashley is that basically this game is like an escort mission, so you can accidentally kill Ashley, or the enemies can kill her, or if they take her throughout a loading door, then it's game over. And it's an escort mission, you're trying to protect her, but it's really annoying at first, because manipulating Ashley's movement is hard. Because sometimes if she like runs into an enemy, and then she's there for a while, she starts crouching and hiding, and she doesn't move. And then the enemies are more likely to pick her up. And what you want to do, you want to basically manipulate that movement by weaving around enemies in a certain way. Because Ashley, if you notice, Ashley walks behind Leon on the left side. And that's really important to know. And Ashley also has many uses as well. She's a good doorstop because basically, you spend some animation time to open a door. Yeah, so that's an example there where Ashley got caught. So basically, I believe, yeah. So I think Joe crossed the enemy in a way that Ashley ended up right in front of the enemy, and then so she crouched right there.
Wait, follow me.
It should be fine. Yep.
Yep, we're good. And then Ashley can also be used, so I'll go into Ashley's uses later. So she can be used as a distraction, so Leon can tell her to wait, follow me, and that aggroes enemies. So here we can see it. Yeah, so that triggered that torch guy right there. Because if you don't aggro him, or if you do the wait, follow me with that guy able to see Leon, then he runs up at you. Some weird stuff happens. But Ashley can be used, like I said, to aggro enemies so they can move in a certain way. She can also be used as a doorstop as well. So she can hold doors open for Leon, so you don't have to spend time to to open the doors. And now we're coming up to cabin, which is an iconic section of the game. It's also one of the hardest sections in the game. So the idea of the cabin is that you can time out the cabin. I don't remember, it's 3 or 5 minutes. Or you can kill 40 enemies. And in a speedrun, killing 40 enemies is faster. And you have to kill 40 enemies between you and Lewis, which is your companion here. And what we're going to do is that we have grenades that we want to use to kill multiple enemies at once. And then what's going to happen is that, yeah, he's going to restart. He's getting hit.
Yeah, I messed up the pattern.
But he's going to aim at Lewis.
Pattern correct is really important because try to explain later. Getting the enemy patterns correct is really important here.
Yeah, because basically we do this very specific pattern at the beginning of the cabin. So we aim at Lewis, and we want Lewis to like shoot and not shoot enemies at a certain time. Because if he shoots enemies, he shoots them out of the window, and then that doesn't make our grenades as effective.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think that should be fine. So basically, we use our grenades to maximize the amount of enemies that we kill. And then we pick up these items in a specific pattern as well because they're going to fall into the inventory in a very, in a spot that we want. And it's also important to note that the inventory in RE4 fills left to right and then up to down. So he's going to knife Lewis several times so Lewis doesn't shoot enemies in him. Okay. And it's also cool too, when Lewis gets grabbed, the enemies don't aggro anymore. Okay, so we're using our last grenade, and then now we basically switch our shotgun, and then we're going to camp the staircase. And then hopefully the shotgun will get, I believe we should have around 22, 23 kills at this point. And then now Leon and Lewis have to kill more enemies to get to 40 total. So here it's a lot of RNG at this point. Basically, the plagas, those parasite things, you can spawn up to 2 at the same time. And they take a long time to kill. So sometimes what we want to do, we want to not kill the parasite. So basically more parasites don't come out and the enemies just go up the stairs. So it sounds like Lewis is doing okay. Yeah, you see here that parasite just took forever to kill. Sometimes you want to keep building them there so we don't have to worry about wasting more bullets. And I think it should be done soon.
This is taking quite a while. Yeah,
we're good here. Yeah, so that was a pretty good cabin, considering, like we got grabbed.
Wait.
So that didn't mess up any patterns. And then we're going to go up to the next El Gigante here. So we're just going to run through this entire section. We're not going to try to even fight him or shoot him with the rocket launcher. Yeah, I didn't find out about this for a long time, because I didn't know that you can just run past this section, because I always thought you had to fight him. And it's really hard to fight. There's like boulders that you can shoot that can fall on top of him. I didn't know about that for the longest time.
Follow me.
And for the chains, if you play on a mouse and keyboard and if you play on modern controls, you can actually get all 3 of the chains in a single hit, like a single knife swing. If you swipe your mouse really fast from like top to bottom, you can get all 3 of them. But that's only available on the mouse and keyboard. If you play on a controller, you can get a 2-1. That's the best you can get.
Yeah, so there's differences between keyboard and mouse. So keyboard and mouse, in theory, it's faster because you can aim faster and turn faster. It's really up to preference. The current world record holder for this category is Socken. He uses keyboard and mouse, but most of the top runners use a gamepad, but they do switch to keyboard and mouse on certain sections. So, if people ask what should I use, just use whatever is comfortable. You can try them both at first. And keyboard mouse has 2 settings. There's classic and there's modern. So I believe modern has mouse acceleration and classic has mouse deceleration. So the knife trick that Joe was talking about earlier, where you swipe all 3 chains at once, you can't do it on classic because it goes slower. But on modern, you can. So we're going to do some inventory management here. So what's going to happen is that you'll see Joe shooting a bunch of handgun bullets because we want to sell our inventory later, but we don't have to. Basically, the handgun bullets, or bullets in general, they don't sell for that much. And then he picked up some bullets earlier in the cabin, and we want to get rid of them because we don't want to have to sell it because it's extra. And also, it could potentially mess up our inventory as well with the items we pick up. Okay. And then we have time for a quick donation here.
Of course, just let me reset my dono page. We have a $1 donation from Anonymous saying, "Good luck on the run," and towards the Ocarina of Time file name to put it for Swiftike. And also don't forget, we are having name incentives. The run coming up after this one is the Ocarina of Time 100%. I do believe it's no SRM, that's... I can't do words.
Okay, so we're coming up on this boss here. This is the village chief. And then if you let the cutscene play out, you'll notice that he's weak to fire. And then Joe's going to exploit that fact here with a couple of fire grenades and a barrel. And a fun fact, this boss has iframes as well, so you can't just spam fire grenades. You have to wait a certain amount of time. All right, and that's it. So normally this boss, Bitors Mendez, he takes a very long time to kill without fire weapons. But that last grenade, which was important, Joe threw the fire grenade in a way that it hit Bitors Mendez and the fire barrel at the same time. So basically, it does double damage. If you throw it and you miss, then you need to spend more ammo to kill him. Otherwise, you just reset the run at this point. So now we're done with the village, and we're gonna start heading to the castle, which is where the bulk of the run is. Arguably the most fun section of the run happens in the castle. And then there's gonna be a lot of cool things there, and then we'll have iconic rooms, iconic bosses, which I'm sure if you played Resident Evil 4, you'll know the sections that we talk about coming up later. So speaking of which, I believe Resident Evil 4 won Game of the Year back in 2005. So, and it has a great replay value. So even me, like, I don't really speedrun the game that much anymore, but sometimes like I like to play the game for fun a little bit. And I don't know, it has great replay value, and it's like it just changed, like, I guess shooters or the Resident Evil 4 series like a lot back in the day.
It's a really awesome game. So if you never played it before, you should play it if you have the chance to. If you're on PC, you can buy it you can get it on Steam. I believe if it goes on sale, it goes for like $5.
Yeah, $5 USD if it goes on sale. Yeah, that was a good shot. Yeah, so like sometimes you can actually still get killed by that truck if you run too early, which has happened to me. I'm not afraid to admit it. It's killed a couple runs. Yeah, RE4 has been released like 15, 16 times. Like, there's so many platforms that it's on. It's supposed to be originally a GameCube exclusive only, and then they came out for the PS2, and then yep, it just happened.
So happened.
Yep, so we're going to meet the merchant again. We're basically going to switch out our entire inventory. So we're going to pick up the TMP, which is like a machine gun, pick up the sniper rifle, and a rocket launcher. So the most important weapon is the TMP because it's weak, but it shoots fast, and there's not a lot of like lag time after shooting it, which means that we can just shoot and stun the enemies, and then we just run out, like go on our merry way. So it's really powerful. You'll see it later, how powerful it is later. But my personal favorite weapon is a semi-auto sniper rifle here. I just like it because it's a pretty powerful weapon, but it's like I like it better than even the OP weapons. And we killed that catapult guy specifically, so he doesn't launch a catapult at us later. And then it's fun fact: all these guys that are manning the catapult, they die in one hit. So you can shoot them with like a TMP bullet or a handgun bullet and they die instantly. So you don't have to snipe them, but the sniper just makes it easier. And here's another example where Ashley gets used as like, where Ashley has some use. So there's going to be an enemy that comes up to Leon, and he's going to try to stop Leon from turning this crank. But he sees Ashley in the way, so he decides to pick Ashley up. Otherwise, if you let him go unchecked, he just runs for Leon and swipes you. And fun fact, if you leave Ashley in front of that castle door when you fire the cannon, she dies and it's a game over.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, I actually done that before, like for fun. I was like, oh, like what happens if I do this? And then it was a game over. So what Joe's gonna do here, where basically this puzzle, quote unquote, is you just take the swords and you switch them. But Leon, basically enemies will spawn. And then it's too slow to complete this whole section in one cycle. So what Joe does is he leaves the room and comes back, so that resets all the positions of the enemies. On New Game Plus, they can do a glitch where they can go faster, which we'll explain. We get to do this glitch later, but they can complete that room in one cycle, whereas here we can only do it in two. And then here's Ashley being used as a doorstop again. So Ashley's going to keep that door open for us on the way back. Yep, and then he's basically going to use a TMP to blow up a barrel, and then that should get rid of a lot of enemies so they don't have to manually fight them on the way out. Oh, also, in terms of picking up money, in the village, we typically don't want to pick up money. If you're starting off playing the game, you can pick up all the money drops, which are in blue. But in the castle, the enemies drop more money. than compared to the earlier village section. So if we see money and it's not too far out of our way, we want to pick up every money drop in the castle. And the Chimera Wall, a lot of people have been trying to skip this wall. Basically, the wall comes down and you have to get 3 puzzle pieces to clear it. And then a lot of people have been trying to get past it, and then they've been unsuccessful. But if anyone can manage to successfully do the Chimera Wall skip, it would save like 30 minutes. And then it's basically like the golden dream of Resident Evil 4 currently. But I think like people have been trying it for 8 years, and there's no way. Like the theory is there, but there's no way to actually execute it. So now we're coming up on the mini boss, the Gyarados, aka Blind Wolverine guy. And then we're going to show the power of the semi-auto rifle here. Yeah.
I messed up by accident, so.
Yeah, this section is actually very strict in terms of timing and positioning. So you'll see that Joe basically unscopes and rescopes the semi-auto rifle. It actually is faster to shoot with that. So I think the firing rate, I don't remember what it is. Let's just say it's like 1.25 seconds or something. But if you just leave it and just hold the button to shoot it, you'll use that time frame. But if you scope and rescope, your firing rate is faster. And that's important for this trick, because if you can't do it without scoping and rescoping.
Wait. Follow me.
Okay, and we're gonna come up on the waterhall section, which is arguably the hardest section of the game. It's very iconic, even on speedrunning or casual play. There's been a lot of strategies for this room that have changed. We're basically going with one of the more common strategies. It's not the most recent one, because the most recent one is very RNG based, and it's more difficult.
Oh, my FPS is dying right now. The optimization of this game is not the best. So even like if you have a beast PC, there's still chances like the game could like FPS drop, or it could even straight up crash.
Yeah, so what Joe did, he shot the archers and the shield guys, and then he brings Ashley to the basement to trigger the puzzle. And we basically just want to get out of here and then go to the crank. And you'll notice that he shoots the red enemy down. It's very specific, because if you don't shoot him down, he ends up in the basement where you are. Okay, very good. So we use a fire grenade to stall the shield guy out.
That's a bit awkward.
Yeah.
Okay, this is really awkward.
Yeah,
that was
so
my bad.
So sometimes the guy on the right side of the crank can come up, and then it's really difficult, because then you have to manage him, because he can pick up Ashley, and that ruins everything.
Wow, my FPS really isn't holding up. Don't worry, guys, it's not the stream, it's the game FPS getting down.
Joe, if you want to, you can disable the Discord stream, and I can commentate from the other stream if you want.
It's fine.
Follow me.
Okay, so we're going to leave the basement again. So the thing that's important to note is that the basement, it changes all the time. Like, you never get the same basement twice in a row, so it's a lot of adapting and RNG as well. Yeah, so same thing, we use the fire grenade to stall the shield guys. He checks the right side just in case. And then we're going to do a movement manipulation here, where we stay on the left side, we turn around, so all these side guys that just came down, they're going to go on that side, and we just run around them the other way. Cool, so we made it. So now we're on the second section of Waterhall. This is an auto-scroller. We're going to reset the room, so that resets all the enemies. So fun fact, they all disappear, because this is a new section and enemies aren't supposed to be here. So, as I was saying, this is an auto-scroller. So we basically kill a certain amount of enemies that allows Ashley to finish these 2 cranks without any problems. And you'll notice he doesn't kill all the enemies that that appear. Yeah, so these are great shots so far. So this is a good time for a donation.
Awesome. Let me just refresh my page real quick. We have an $11.19 donation from Dips saying, "Let's bring back the magic number for a good cause. GL to all the runners." And just want to plug in again, we have an Ocarina of Time run coming up where you get to choose the file name. All you need to do is donate and specify the game and what you would like as a file name. So far, Swift Ike is winning at $1, so all you need to do is donate $2 or more, say the name, and we'll sort it out for you. Thank you very much.
Oh, are you gonna pick up the rifle ammo later or shotgun?
Which part?
Oh, I think you probably took both of the barrels, right? Already.
Sorry, I don't. Yeah, the barrels. Yeah, I
okay.
broke them both.
Okay, we good. Okay, so now we finished. We pick up Ashley, and we're gonna move on to the next section of the game with the most hated enemy in all of Resident Evil 4. Yeah, so this enemy is a cause for a lot of resets. You'll see later. You'll know them as like the sewer bugs or the Novistadors, and then we'll explain why they're so horrible. But the good thing about this next section is that Ashley gets taken away, or rather, in the story, she runs into a trap, and then you get separated from her, so you have to find her. And then, so there's some so there's also certain enemy manipulation tricks as well. As I was saying with the dogs, you just don't want to run straight into them. But for these sewer bugs, it's very unique. We're basically just not. Basically, what's going to happen, Okay, so basically what's going to happen is that the enemy bugs, they basically, you can turn your camera to look away from them. And then, I think we're trying to get Joe back in here.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Sorry for the hold up, folks. Just a couple of little problems. No worries.
Alright, I'm back.
Okay, cool. Sorry about that, guys. Alright, so the enemies, these bugs, Novistadors, there's a camera manipulation you do with them. So what's going to happen is that you're going to turn your camera away from them, and it prevents them from wanting to... So if they give you a kick animation, you have to kick them. Because then most likely, rather than not, if you don't kick them, they're going to jump on you. So if you turn your camera away, it minimizes the amount of times you have to kick, and that saves time. But there's a lot of RNG that's involved with these bugs as well, because sometimes they just hit you, or you don't know how they can hit you. They can grab you, they can kick you back into more enemies. It's pretty horrible. But yeah, most runners, when they get to this section, we only hope that the enemies, like the Novistadors, give us a good pattern. Like, for example, there Joe almost got hit by that, and that would have been not good. But we're able to get through here without any problems. Okay. So these axes, they have a really big hitbox. It's actually funny. If you go out of bounds for during this section here, and you try to pass the axes like on the outside, you still get hit by them. So it's actually really funny. Like when you see someone do it. Okay, so we throw this flash grenade because if we jump down or trigger or aggro the enemies, an unskippable cutscene plays, and that loses you about like 3 or 5 seconds. So it's been recently discovered that if you shoot the red zealot, you shoot the red enemy, you can skip that cutscene as well. But with the flash grenade is faster. And there's a certain trick that Joe's going to do, which was recently found. Not necessarily recently, but for Steam 60 FPS, it's been recently discovered. So what he's going to do here, he's going to flash the enemies so that they don't attack Leon. But he's going to throw this fire grenade in a very certain, like a very precise spot. And let's see if I think he got it. So basically what happens is that you see that red zealot there, he basically, does the animation of him getting hurt. Normally what happens, you jump down and the red zealot, he appears on the other side and you have to chase him down and shoot him. But with that trick here, he ends up staying here if you don't skip the cutscene. He stays in that area, and then you can just kill him there, so you don't have to go all the way around and back. So very recently discovered, it was used mainly in New Game Plus because you have this Ditman glitch, which makes you go faster. But on New Game Professional, we don't have that luxury.
Give me a moment. Yep, I just realized that. I'm sorry, guys. Right, I'm back.
Okay, we're good. So this next section here, basically this is also another RNG heavy section. You never know what the enemies are going to do. And then there's like a bunch of enemies with weapons. There's some with rocket launchers for whatever reason, which is really interesting. I don't know why they didn't equip all the enemies with rocket launchers. But yeah, basically once Leon opens that door, you never know what's going to happen. So you have to be prepared for anything that comes out. Okay, so we grab the goat ornament, which is one of the puzzle pieces needed for the Chimera wall. Then we make it out of the gallery. Alright, that's good. That was a decent gallery. And we switch to the rocket launcher to run faster, because there's going to be a long section of the game where we just go fast. So, and then we can have a quick donation here as well.
Awesome, just let me refresh my page real quick and take just a little bit of time to remind you all that Velocity is raising money for Rise Above Disorder. It is a non-profit organization dedicated to battling the two greatest barriers to mental health care, access and affordability. It aims to help people worldwide who need the healthcare the most. And don't forget, we also have some incredible incentives, so such as the file name incentive for Ocarina of Time, and one which is going to be my favorite is the color for Spyro in Reignited, where you can choose between black, pink, and yellow. So don't forget to get those donations in and get creative.
Yep. So here we see these dogs again. So we're in a maze. And I was just saying earlier, as long as you don't run straight at the dogs, you won't get hit. But there's going to be another camera manipulation later, where basically if you aim your camera up, it more or less guarantees that the dogs won't jump into you at all, even if you run straight into them. You'll see Joe use that trick in probably 8 seconds here. But basically we grab these puzzle pieces, the half moon pieces, to open the door, and then we, instead of killing the dogs, we just run past them. So you'll see he aims his camera up, and then the dogs, sometimes they sprout tentacles, and you just run past them.
Basically, you can't see them, they can't see you. Pretty much.
Yeah. It's interesting because if you walk and aim your camera up, the dogs won't jump you, but they spawn the tentacles, and there's a chance they still hit you with the tentacles. And on New Game Pro, with Leon's current amount of health, they kill Leon in 1 hit. So if you get hit by that, it's a reset. Okay, and then we're going to encounter the second Gyarados, but unlike the first one, we're basically just going to try to get the heck out of here. We trigger this puzzle here by shooting the bell and then the wine bottle to open the gate. For a long time, people didn't know that you could trigger the bell by shooting it. For the longest time, we had to just manually, trigger it. Okay, so we're going to shoot this lock down. This lock takes 15 bullets to kill, or if you want to be very precise about it, it takes 14 bullets, and then you can kick it, and it'll knock the lock. So we see more how powerful the TMP is. We're just knocking all these enemies down again, because we don't want to kill them. We just want to run past them really quickly. Okay, and then here's another cool thing too. We're gonna try to do, maybe not reload, cancel that, but okay. So that was a bad RNG section, but Joe was able to get through it. Normally what happens, the enemies go through there faster, and then basically you can dodge them that way, but they were behind the door and they opened the door up. Ooh, so cool, he got the double chain shot. So it's been theorized not theorized, but for the longest time, people didn't know how to get the double lock shot there. But there's a certain position that was recently discovered where if you go up to a certain spot in the wall and aim the sniper rifle at a certain spot, you can hit both chains at once. That saves about 2 seconds. So this is a deceptively hard section here that Joe's doing. So what he's going to do, he's going to shoot the red zealot in the knee, and then he's going to throw a grenade in a very certain spot at a certain time, and that's going to kill all the enemies at once. So if he does it too fast or too slow, it won't kill all the enemies at once. So he was able to kill the red zealot, which is good, but he threw the grenade too far to the left, and I think that didn't get the guy that was picking Ashley up. But it's really important to kill that red zealot, because if you don't kill the red zealot in time, he spawns more enemies, and that is a really big time loss.
I hear an archer though. Wait, what's that? What's going on?
Oh, yeah, you should be fine now. Yeah, it's really important to kill that red zealot, because then remember that inventory management is hard in the game. There are backup rifle ammo strats, but sometimes, like at this point, there's no more backup rifle ammo that's plausible to get. So the thing that's forgiving about Resident Evil 4 is that there are backup strategies or backup ammo pickups, but yeah, you want to be aware of where they are just in case when you're starting off the game. And then here we play as Ashley, so which is actually when you casually play this game, it's one of the scariest sections because you don't have any weapons. The only thing you can do is open the door by pushing it, or you can throw a lantern at the enemy. And it's funny. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Also, a fun fact about this section: if you are playing on the Japanese version of the game, for the Ashley section is actually in the classic camera angle, which is like the original Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3. It's like this static camera angle instead of a over-the-shoulder camera, for whatever reason. This is only present in the Japanese version of the game and only on normal and professional difficulty. I don't think it's present in easy and amateur. Oops.
Yeah.
So the puzzle here is really easy. You just pretty much you get the centerpiece in and you just turn it clockwise. Or
Yeah,
is it
I think
counterclockwise?
you start from the 4. If the tiles are 1, 2, 3, 4 through 9, you start at 4 and go counterclockwise. Casually, this puzzle's really hard. I remember being stuck on it for like an hour. That was not fun. And then I saw someone do this for the first time, and my mind was just instantly blown. Yeah, so it's funny. So these knights, when you come into the room, they don't have their weapons raised, but when you solve the puzzle, suddenly they do. And then you'll see how these knights are more intense later. Just not currently, though.
Also, for the quick time events, if you guys are wondering like how am I getting the quick time events so fast? Pretty much this game only has 2 possible combinations for the QTEs. If you're on a gamepad, it's either X and A or LT plus RT. But the way that QTE works in this game is it only detects the correct input and it ignores the wrong input. So you can pretty much just spam all 4 keys at the same time and you get it like 100% of the time. So
Yeah.
that's how I've been dodging the QTEs, like pretty much the frame that it appears.
Yeah, the fastest way to do it is you hold one half of each button. So for example, for the X and A and the left and right trigger, I would hold X and left and just spam right and A, or with the other button that I said. But I think on GameCube you have to be exact with it, because if you press the wrong one, it detects it as wrong. So I think GameCube, maybe different consoles are the only exception. And for whatever reason, somehow Salazar, the owner of this castle, found a lava pit, or he built this castle over a lava pit, which I don't understand how that's possible, but that's really cool. So recently there's been a new treasure development, or new treasure routing. So what Joe did by killing that guy on the fire dragon thing has been very recently discovered. It basically, we pick up a treasure that spawns from that particular killing that particular enemy, and then we don't have to open a cupboard later, which saves about like 1 or 2 seconds. So that's a big deal, because recently time saves in RE4 have been all due to execution, and it's really cool to find like the smallest strategy that can save you like 1.5 to 3 seconds. So this merry-go-round,
correctly, if you do all your movement correctly, that enemy should just point at you and will never attack you, so you can just run past them.
Yeah.
And
So
this
it's really,
merry-go-round thing goes on a cycle. Like pretty much the entire room goes on a cycle. If you miss the merry-go-round, you lose like about 8 seconds. So you want to get on that cycle if you want to save time.
yeah. So there's some leniency if you don't miss the cycle, but once you miss the cycle, not only do you lose time, you notice that enemies can creep up on you. So and then you'll have to switch your weapons, and that loses even more time. And then we can have time for a quick donation here.
Alright, just let me boot up my page real quick. Still going through a bit of a quiet period at the moment, that's absolutely no problem. Just want to remind you all, you can have the fun of your donations. We have a bunch of naming incentives still going on, like the Ocarina of Time file name, Fire Emblem Awakening avatar name, and the Pokemon Sword Sobble and Kubfu name. And we have a bunch of polls and stuff. You know, I'll put the links in the chat. Feel free to browse for yourself. I still want that Black Spyro skin for the Reignited free run. That's what I'm hoping gets done. And don't forget, we're benefiting RAD. Rise again. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, my English is like so bad today. This is what you get
Oh, you're
for
good.
a 4 hours sleep. Rise above disorder. There we go. You're all wonderful.
Okay, so this next section here, so basically we want to put the Ashley and the 4 pillars, or the 2 pillars that we trigger all 4 at once, and it's going to open a room with spikes that come out of the ceiling. Fun fact that in this room only, because there's 2 rooms with ceiling spikes, you can shoot the lights before you go into the room, and then it ends the room instantly once you trigger it, and you'll see it happen here. Yep. And you try this in another room later, it doesn't work, the spikes still come down. And it's funny, because this section here, Ashley gets trapped, and there's this 2 dudes in like a drill, and like they come out of the wall. So the funny thing is that it's like they live there their whole life just to come out of that wall. And they only have 1 HP, because you'll notice that Joe killed them instantly with the TMP shot. So I don't know what Salazar did, with the parasite to brainwash these guys, but they've been living in that wall for, whoever knows how long, and they just instantly get killed by Leon. And then we're coming up on the King's Grail room. So we got the Queen's Grail room before, we got it, and now we have to get the King's Grail. And we want to use both these grails to open the door that's coming up later.
Oh my god, the game
the
is
FPS
really
drop.
not playing nice right now.
Yeah, so you're gonna see Joe fight these knights, and then it's funny because the parasites, you think they only infect like living enemies, but apparently I guess they infect suits of armor as well, which is very interesting. That was a good shot. That was a good recovery shot, I think. Yeah, so these knights are also tough as well, because there's ways to shoot all of them without getting hit, and they go on like a certain cycle as well. And we can see we get nope. So sometimes that last knight that Joe shoots down, he basically sometimes doesn't spawn the Plaga out right away, and we want that Plaga to come out so we can kill it all with the flash grenade. Because remember, the enemies are light sensitive. Sometimes the guy doesn't come out right away, so you see Joe, he was hovering on that last knight to see if that helmet would pop out with the enemy Plaga, and then just in case if it doesn't, he would shoot that armor in the helmet again. And here we have another.
The really memey thing about that is that his helmet can like shake, but then his helmet doesn't pop off.
Yeah, so what Joe does here is another movement manipulation. So he does the wait, follow me, which aggroes the enemies, and then you'll see he ran on the right side. So the enemies follow Leon to the right, then he goes to the left side, he just runs around it. You think the enemies would be more sophisticated. But here we come back up on the Novicinos again, these bugs. So instead of being invisible, they fly now. And then sometimes, yeah, so they can...
Very unfortunate.
Yeah, sometimes they misbehave, so you'll see that, like, sometimes, like, in the first 3 seconds, you just get jumped by one, and it's not your fault at all. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. So this is another high reset section of the game, so top runners dread this section as well. Alright, that was
should be fine.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
the fun fact, the flash grenade, if the Novicinos are on the ground, it stuns them for like 4 or 5 seconds, but if they're in the air, they barely get stunned. So, and you also still want to do that camera manipulation trick to avoid them aggroing you as well. So that was very good. I would take that room in any of my runs, because most of my other runs, when I used to run the game, they've ended in disaster here. And then we're coming
Honestly speaking, like any novice Didos room without a dev is a acceptable novice room.
Yeah, so there's 3 rooms in Novistadors, and they call it like 3 circles of hell. And then we're only two out of the 3 done, so we gotta wait for more. So for this clock tower section, basically there's a bridge that gets triggered by turning on the clock tower, and you get to find Ashley on the other side, but they lodge these wooden cranks in, or these wooden blocks in, so you have to find them and shoot them, and there's 3 of them. And then basically on the way down, of course, when you turn on the clock tower, enemies spawn, because that's just how all games are. Then we're gonna grab that greener for a backup heal. There's a lot of backup heals in this game, so and most of them you can pick up without any detriment to your inventory. So it's really important when you're starting off the game. Like if you see a greener, you can pick it up. Just if you pick up too much, then your inventory gets messed up. Okay, and then so there's going to be an unskippable cutscene that plays, but what Joe's going to do, he's going to reload his TMP, because there's a dynamite that gets thrown down, and you can't really run past that dynamite. I'm going to show off how powerful the TMP is again.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah. Yeah, so
I
you
thought
see
he was
how
gonna
powerful
throw his leg,
Yeah.
but
So you see how powerful the TMP is there. So this bridge, it's also called the Bridge of Death. If you don't dodge those 3 shield guys properly and these 2 mace guys properly, then you're stuck on the bridge. You probably have to retry the checkpoint. So Joe's gonna shoot that rocket launcher straight down that blows up the door. And then what he's gonna do...
I'm slightly off.
Yeah, so the rocket launcher will kill the unarmored Gyarados right away, but for the armored one, what he's gonna have to do is he's gonna have to shoot the sniper with the sniper rifle in the Plaga on the back. And then I believe if you shoot the Plaga on the Gyarados, it does 16 times more damage. Okay, so here we're gonna come up on one of the most important parts of the game. We're gonna be changing our inventory again. So we're gonna be selling the sniper rifle. We're gonna pick up the striker, which is the most powerful shotgun in the game. It's the best shotgun in the game, but not just because it's powerful. It allows us to do this glitch called the Ditman glitch, where basically if you aim with the striker and before the aiming laser comes out, you switch to another weapon, your movement and your animations for most of your actions are like 1.5 times as fast. And you'll get to see here the beauty of it. So you see Leon is climbing up that ladder much faster than usual. And this is important because 1, it makes us go faster. 2, it makes your animations go faster as well. And you can go out of bounds on certain sections of the game, or you do weird enemy clips or manipulations with this glitch. And it can be it can be stopped by getting hurt or healing or certain cutscenes as well. So you'll see sometimes like Joe will Ditman like several times because he loses it due to a cutscene. But for some reason this cutscene doesn't trigger it. And then he's gonna try to do this trick here. I'm gonna be quiet.
Okay, that's a little bit too late. That's fine.
Yeah, so this trick is hard. It's not frame perfect, but it's a very tight timing. Basically, the tail will come down, and then he's gonna stop and then move because that tail tracks you. And then basically he's gonna dodge that tail. But it's a very tough trick. Okay, and then we have Verdugo here. So we'll, the Salazar's hand or something, like, he says like your left hand comes off, some cheesy line.
It's a bit awkward.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine.
Yep, that's good. So Verdugo, he's a very powerful enemy. I think he has the most HP in the game out of every enemy. If you freeze him, he takes like 3 times the amount of damage or something like that. He just takes more damage. Because, fun fact, he doesn't die to a rocket launcher by itself, but when he's frozen, as you can see, he dies instantly to a rocket launcher. And it's important that we kill him because he drops a treasure. If you notice, we picked up a crown, and I believe a crown jewel. And those, once we combine those treasures together, the crown sells for a lot more money. And we definitely use that to buy more weapons. So here we're going to buy another rocket launcher, but we're not going to use it on an enemy. We're actually going to use it on a boulder, which you'll see in a bit. Fun fact, like this doesn't work on every port of the game. I don't know which sections it doesn't work on, but I know there's like a few sections where you can't rocket launcher this rock coming up. And here we see the beauty of the Ditman glitch again.
I believe one of the versions is the PS2. I'm not sure if like, there's any other version that doesn't work with this glitch.
Yeah, I heard
Well,
that.
I guess
maybe, like,
I guess it's a mechanic and less of a glitch. I don't know.
yeah, you see, like, yeah, that rocket launcher blows up that boulder, but sometimes it doesn't work. Like on certain ports of the game, it doesn't work, and I think it might be region limited too, from what I've been hearing. So here's another reason why the Ditman glitch is so important. So normally you would have to kill 2 El Gigantes, those giant monsters, to get past this room, but instead we're gonna use Ditman on this on the zip line. And he's gonna go on it, and then he's gonna go on it a second time, and he starts where that zip line is. So because the zip line hasn't had enough time to go all the way back, it starts in the middle, and then Leon gets to go out of bounds. So this is a pretty, a cool trick you can do. And fun fact on New Game Plus, it's actually slower to do that. It's faster to kill the enemies on New Game Plus. And now we're here in our 3rd layer of hell. The Novicidors, we see them for the 3rd and last time. And basically we're just hoping that they don't like kill us. That's all it is. We use a flash grenade to help increase our chances of getting out of the room, but there's no guarantees.
Short flash here, and
yeah, he's gonna
camera
do
on it, and
okay,
I'm
so
still getting grabbed.
Yeah, so he's getting grabbed.
This is like an RNG.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so he can still get out of here, but we'll see, because the enemies are not.
Yeah, not really playing nice right now.
Yeah, they're not behaving. All right, so he gets out of there. That's very good. Like, that's actually very, very good. He gets out of there alive, and then the fun thing is that when the Novicidors are in the air, they die a lot more easily. You'll see there that they basically just died in like a hit to the striker in the air, and then on the ground they're much more durable. I don't know why exactly they take more damage in the air. And then he does a camera manipulation again, so they are less aggro towards him. And then they, all Resident Evil 4 runners, they say, the true run doesn't start until you get past this room, because that's when like a lot of RNG gets cut, and then more of it is on your skill. And then we see with Ditman again, we're able to run past those stomping pillars. So without Ditman, you would have to hit a switch, which like delays the pillars, and that's how you normally get past the game in a casual setting. And then we have a good time for a donation here.
Okay, just let me refresh the page real quick, and as that's happening, just to remind you all, we are raising money towards Rise Against Disorder. It is a non-profit organization. All of Velocity's proceeds go straight towards that. We take absolutely 0 cuts. It's about accessibility and affordability, helping to cover costs for people who cannot afford mental health care services. So any donations go towards an amazing cause.
Yep, it's a good cause, so you donate if you guys want to. Mental health is very important. So we are here in the ruins, or the mines. Basically, there's a glitch that was discovered somewhat recently that allows us to skip the minecart ride. We'll talk about that a little later, but it did save like a minute and a half or 2 minutes. Yeah, so if anyone's interested in speedrunning Resident Evil 4, we have a Discord channel that's on speedrun.com. And our community is very nice, and there's a lot of new runners lately. We're all very helpful, and there's a lot of resources to learn in this game as well. So I highly recommend it. The skill floor to learn this game is not that high at all, but it is hard to get really good at the game, because it's a lot about, obviously execution, but also a lot of RNG, learning how to manipulate RNG as well. So we see here we're back at the ceiling spike room. Yeah, so we can't shoot those lights down like before. And then you see that there are parasites on the ground here. So Joe basically moves around, because if you stay still for too long, those spider parasite things, they jump up on you. So basically Joe's moving around to shoot those ceiling lights so the parasites don't jump on him. So here's this minecart glitch here. So what Joe's gonna do, he's basically gonna jump at a certain section and hold up and left, and he should clip out of bounds here. So that's good. So this only works on Steam PC, which is very interesting because it doesn't work on PlayStation 4 or 5 or Xbox One, even the quote-unquote 60 FPS consoles. So we don't know exactly the reason why it only works on Steam PC. But you can still skip the minecart on other sections by actually riding the minecart for a little bit, then jumping at a certain time. But it does, and you can do it with or without Ditman as well. So this particular glitch on Steam PC 60 FPS, you can only do it with Ditman, and you have to be holding a weapon that requires 2 hands. So you can't do it with a rocket launcher. You can do it with a handgun. You can do it with the PRL. You can do it with an infinite rocket launcher because remember that uses 2 hands to hold. So basically, yeah, we're just running down here. It's like the moment this glitch was discovered, like I think the Resident Evil 4 community was like in an uproar because that means everyone wanted to get a new PB with this new glitch. And yeah, it was very iconic because it also changes the route too, because normally when you ride the minecart, you have to kill a bunch of enemies. So you have to account for the amount of ammo you pick up. So now with the current route that Joe's doing, we don't pick up as much shotgun ammo for the minecart ride. Yeah, and it's actually really easy to do. I think the other way, where you jump off the minecart out of bounds, there's a certain timing to it, but it's still very lenient. So you can do all these cool tricks too. And then we're approaching Salazar's castle, or like one of the main area. This section coming up, it's a tight timing. Basically, the cycles are pretty tight because you trigger. There's a giant statue of Salazar for whatever reason, and there's hands that move. And we basically want to jump on those hands and like maneuver around the enemies at a certain, really fast. So he shoots there to trigger this enemy to point at him. If he doesn't shoot him and runs straight up the stairs, the enemy would run right at him, and it would be slower to dodge him. Okay, so he shoots the trigger to trigger the hands going out faster. Yeah, so this room is on a tight cycle here, so he needs to make this cycle. Alright, that's good. Alright, that was a perfect run. Or a perfect section right there. So now we need to button mash again. This room is notorious for killing a lot of runners, even if they button mash really well. So recently for Steam PC, we've allowed turbos only for button mashing QTEs, nothing else. But if you're on console, then it's unfortunate. There's no really good turbo for that from what I've known. Yeah, so this particular QT is like the big one, but Joe makes it out. That's good. And then basically there's an elevator ride coming up, and there's a certain way that Joe's going to set it up. But now we're just going to run up the stairs, and then this strat was discovered. I say a lot of strats are discovered recently. I mean, considering how this game has been out for like 15, 16 years, it's, even a 1 second time save is a big deal. So yeah, running up the stairs that way was a bigger deal back then, because normally you would have to climb up the ladder, but we found out that if you run up like the staircase and you go all the way around, it saves like 1 second. I'm going to be quiet here so Joe can set this up. Okay, so pretty much what we're going to do here, there's a way to keep Ditman on the striker, because one of the ways of that you lose striker is if you shoot with the striker. But I don't have time to get into it, but pretty much Joe does a keyboard mouse manipulation where he allows the striker, he keeps the Ditman's ready. Yeah, so this elevator section, if two or more enemies appear on the elevator, then the elevator's too heavy and it slows down. And so Joe is trying to place himself in a position where when he just shoots at a certain angle and it knocks the enemies off the elevator, as you can see here.
This is really awkward right now. I just hope I don't die.
Yeah. You still have another green herb though. Yeah, we're gonna get rid of that handgun ammo because we don't need it. Yep. So that elevator could have gone a lot worse. He could have straight up died on that elevator if he wasn't being careful. So he needs to also pick up there's backup shotgun ammo really close by as well, which he's gonna pick up. So. And then we're basically on our last boss of the castle, and then we're gonna move to Island really shortly. So we're gonna pick up another rocket launcher for this upcoming boss. And this boss is Salazar. He's the owner of the Castellan of the castle, but he's not like the final boss, which is Sadler, which you'll see later on the island. So basically, like the premise of the game also is that like Sadler injected the parasite into Ashley, so you need to get it out because he's like, oh, we're gonna use Ashley once he goes back home, like kill her dad, the president, or whatever. They also inject it into Leon as well. So of course, since if you beat the game, you get those parasites out, which will come up later, but yeah, I'll explain when that happens. And then, so we kill Salazar with the rocket launcher. If you play this on other modes, like for example, no merchant, where you don't use any weapons with the merchant, this section is a lot more difficult because it requires you to manage your inventory precisely. But there's a lot of cool categories for this game. New Game Plus has been there's been a research on New Game Plus as well. So you think, oh, it's such an easy category, like you just get all the weapons and then you beat the game. But no, there's actually, because you have all the weapons already, like the rest of there's like no RNG involved. There's very little RNG involved, and like the rest of it is all on movement and enemy manipulation. So New Game Plus is a category that's a lot harder than people think. Of course, it's easier to complete a New Game Plus run, but it's very difficult to execute.
Got some red.
Okay, so we buy another rocket launcher here. And then there's another glitch. I think this is the most recent big glitch that has been discovered lately. So we call this the island skip. So basically this room, you basically go around, you turn on a laser, and then you point mirrors at a laser to manipulate like a light or something. But we found out very recently, in order to clip out of bounds, people talk about, oh, you can jump like down places, or you can like clip wherever. But no one really talked about like climbing up places to go out of bounds. But I don't remember his name, but a Japanese runner found this out. What Joe did earlier, he climbed up that rock at a certain section and he ended up out of bounds, which is really cool. And it saves like 45 seconds. It was a really big time save. It was a big deal. And it's really easy to actually set up as well. So when we get to the island, it's less scary in my opinion, because there's no creepy music. It's a lot more action. It's more running past the enemies now instead of actual strategies. But there are really cool strats that come up. But in general, this entire section is all execution. You're trying to run past the enemies. And you'll see a lot heavier use of Ditman, because there's a lot of sections where we run straight for a while. So Ditman helps out there. And then we get to see Oven Man. So fun fact, that Oven Man, I believe if he grabs you, he does more damage to you. And also he dies without you hurting him at all because he's on fire. So that guy freaked me out the first time I saw him, not gonna lie, because it was a jump scare. So here's where Ditman's also powerful.
People, yeah.
Yeah, so here's where Ditman is powerful. So what Joe's gonna do, he's gonna go through the garage door at a very specific time. So if you go too early, those garage doors close. If you go too late, they throw the dynamite and they close before you get and run past it. So if he runs right when they raise their hands to throw the dynamite, he's able to run past it. And here we're on the scariest enemy of the game, or arguably the Regenerators. These are freaky, gray, naked monsters with sharp teeth that can kill you. And then, as we do with almost all enemies, we just run past it. But killing them is actually very difficult. You get an infrared scope, which you can see the specific parasites on their body, because those parasites are helping them with their regeneration. Yeah, everyone always says the regenerator section is the scariest section of the game. So Joe shoots a TMP there to manipulate the regenerator from moving early. So he basically runs past the regenerator with that early manipulation. Okay, so I think we have time for a donation real quick as well.
Alright, just let me boot up the page again, and want to remind everyone we still have a bunch of naming incentives. Most notably, there is an Ocarina of Time 100% coming up soon after this run and the Ada run. Ada, I can't pronounce words. Where you can choose the file name. All you have to do is in the comment box below the donation, specify the name of which what you want to do, so Ocarina of Time, or Fire Emblem avatar name, or the Supple and Kubfu of the Pokemon Sword run. And yeah, just get creative, folks.
Alright, so we see liberal use of the Ditman. There's not much to really talk about besides go fast, but there are some things that we can do here that have been recently discovered to save time. So this Iron Maiden coming up, this is the only time where we use the rocket launcher on like a regenerator. Or I think it's the only time we use a rocket launcher on a normal enemy, because we either use it on bosses or the elevator. Or not the boulder, my bad. So what Joe's doing, he's trying to push that dead body forward, because that once he kills it, the rocket launcher, there's an animation where that lower torso walks before it drops a treasure. But if you push it, towards the door you have to leave, it saves a little bit amount of time. I personally never got it right, because I think I would always run past it. And we see how powerful the flash grenade is now. He kicked him by accident.
Yeah, because the way that this game the action key button works in this game, like the game will prioritize like the action buttons for you. Like let's say if there's like 2 actions at the same spot, either you open the door or like kick an enemy, you will always kick the enemy like if you press your action key.
Yeah, I am JV. I think a part of me thinks it's a placebo, because every time I've tried it, I didn't feel that much of a difference. But I mean, if the top runners do it, then it has to be a thing. So I'm just not good at it. So fun fact, this upcoming section, the only way to trigger the cutscene to leave here, you just have to enter that cutscene. So it doesn't matter if Ashley gets grabbed here or not, because she spawns back with you later. But, well, I mean, you don't see Ashley get grabbed here. So, so we're picking up an emerald for safety money strats.
What is that thing?
Wait, follow me.
Okay, so this cool boulder or this rock here requires 2 people to push, so you gotta be careful because of the enemies. If you wait too long, those enemies can creep up on you.
Wait, follow me.
And that's the bin right there where you can like tell Ashley to hide in. When you're taking that corner, you're gonna be like, be careful like not to run too far out, or you like tell Ashley to hide by accident. I actually done that before.
So this strat here, we call it the home run strat. Basically, we run around this whole section, and then the enemies follow Leon, and basically they don't attack him, and we use that flash grenade to stall them out. And fun fact, this particular cutscene with this wrecking ball, you want to play it out, because the amount of time the wrecking ball comes back, it accounts for this cutscene. So if you skip this cutscene, that wrecking ball just keeps going. And then it doesn't save or lose you time, but the enemies are frozen during this cutscene.
Wait.
Let's see if he gets it. Okay, he doesn't get it. So what could happen is very precise. I don't know if there's a setup, but that wrecking ball can push you through, and then you can open the door early. And then here we use Ashley as another doorstop.
Wait.
Okay, and then what he's gonna do here, so remember Ashley can get stuck behind enemies, right? But if you use that stutter step, so basically if you alternate between walk and run really fast, Ashley just sticks to Leon the whole time. So you can actually do that when you're running past a crowd of enemies, and Ashley will always follow you. But of course, like if the enemies are there, then you probably have a different problem. But I believe Joe showed how that happened with that wrecking ball scene, because when he flashed the enemies, they were all stunned, but he was stutter stepping to when actually jumped down to get out of there.
To me, Leon.
So here we're on a bulldozer. So I didn't know that it was part of presidential, children training to operate bulldozers. So for whatever reason, Ashley knows how to operate a bulldozer, and that baffles everyone that speedruns this game.
Pretty sure driving like a normal truck alone is hard enough. Well, apparently Ashley can drive a bulldozer, so you don't mess with her, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, Joe, do you want to talk about like the amount of enemies in this room? I think you had a good explanation for it before.
Right, sure. Hold up, let me finish two guys. So basically, the enemies that spawn in this room, if you don't kill them, like you are keeping them back, they don't actually die or like despawn. They just stay there because there can only be so many enemies in the room. So we're gonna keep these guys at the back like for as long as we can, so that we don't get a ton of people that are trying to chase us. Hold up.
Yeah, sometimes it's beneficial to kill the enemies if you're low on money, because sometimes they can drop, they can have a money drop. But typically what we want to do, we don't want to keep those enemies there, or we don't want to kill those enemies, because then less enemies will spawn later.
Yeah, so as you can see, like all the enemies that run to the back that I didn't kill, they are actually still present in the room, but it's just not visible, so that less enemies can spawn. Like only 2 guys run out from that hallway right there. Usually there's like a lot more if you kill everyone.
Yeah, and this
because there's only so much enemy that can spawn, the game can't do that, I guess.
Yeah, remember back during Cabin, when we used our grenades to optimize killing enemies, like there's only a max of 9 at once. But I believe on the PS2, there's 5 on the PS2 because it's a weaker system.
PS2 port and the 2007 PC port is 2 of the worst versions in terms of speedrunning. But I guess for casual play, the PC07 port is also bad because it crashes like really frequently.
Yeah, that port is horrible. We don't talk about that because a lot of people complain about how like it's hard to play on that port because the game just crashes for whatever reason. Yeah, so this section is also very difficult in the sense that we want to watch our shotgun ammo, because if we're not careful with how much shotgun ammo we use, then Leon's gonna run out of ammo. And that's not good, because there's gonna be like probably like 7 or 8 enemies that come up later. Yeah, so this section of the bulldozer is like one of the most stressful section, period, because if you noticed earlier, all the enemies that Joe has killed, none of them spawn Plagas. But in this section here, if enemies actually land on the bulldozer, or if they start walking on the ground, they can spawn Plagas, and then those Plagas kill Ashley in 1 hit instantly. So if they get close, then it'll accidentally kill Ashley, even though technically you're supposed to take her hostage. Yeah, so when you shoot these enemies, I'm not 100% sure about in professional. Whatever height they're at, I guess in this section, we see a Plaga there. Depending on the height of when they fall, they can die when they hit the ground. But then from that height in particular, they died instantly. So Joe basically would try to kill them in 1 hit. So this is...
Let me catch up, so I'm gonna go for it. Because like we mentioned, there's a lot of iframe moments in this game. Like any animation you're in, you won't get hit because there's iframes. But not this particular cutscene. Like this small cutscene where you watch the bulldozer crash into the building, you can actually still get hit.
Yeah, so it's actually really... Yeah, it's unfortunate because, like Joe was saying, even though if you kill that truck and you get that cutscene that plays, if an enemy comes up or a Plaga comes up, they can hit Leon in that cutscene, and if they kill Leon, it's a game over. So you got to be really careful about that. So we lose Ashley here. Sadler takes her away, and basically the parasite is like almost controlling Ashley completely, and it's almost controlling Leon completely. So we're on a time crunch to get these parasites out. Okay. So we're coming up on a cutscene here, and it's an unskippable cutscene. And if you can figure out a way to skip this cutscene, this is almost like Chimera wall skip. It would be a big deal because it does save like a minute or two.
No, the cutscene is like, I believe it's like 2 minutes or 3 minutes long actually.
Yeah.
The whole room is 3 minutes long.
Yeah. Did you, Joe? Did you want to do this cutscene, or do you want to just leave it to? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You
No.
can have it.
Okay.
Or we can actually have some donations if
Yeah.
there's any, because this is just 2 minute unskippable cutscene.
Yeah.
Wonderful cutscene. Love it when a game has every skippable cutscene and then it doesn't, and it's like, well, thanks, game. Really didn't want you to miss this bit. Anyway, let's see here. Just to remind everyone, Velocity is benefiting Rise Above the Disorder. This time, it is a non-profit organization benefiting mental health care services around the world. And what we're going to do here is we're going to try and erase all the stigma around it and make sure that everyone gets the healthcare that they deserve. And any kind of donation is very much appreciated. We have a bunch of incentives, such as the OOT, I always abbreviate it, the Ocarina of Time run coming up, to which you can donate and recommend a file name for us. We have the same with the Fire Emblem Awakening avatar name, and the Pokemon Sword, Sobble, and Kupfu name. So far with the OOT name, Swift Ike is winning by $1. All you have to do is donate $2 or more for any other name incentive, and then huzzah! You'll get your own custom name, forever in Velocity history. Seems like we're having a little bit of technical stuff right now.
But it's an unskippable cutscene, so it's not. We don't have anything to worry about in this meantime.
Yeah. No worries.
Okay, so I'm sorry, but something's wrong with my camera. I think as soon as I open my camera, my Discord crashes, so I guess we have to run without a camera on now. I'm really sorry.
No worries, don't worry about it.
Yeah, so this cutscene, there's just a bunch of QTEs. But remember earlier with what Joe was saying, basically if you just hold half, half the inputs of each one, and then you just start spamming the other ones, you get through the section fast. I believe the backstory for this enemy, his name's Krauser. He used to be a friend of Leon. I think they went on missions together, and I think he died in a helicopter crash, supposedly. But he came back, and now he's an enemy. I know there's more backstory to it than that, but I don't know much else about the series. And in chat, Joe, don't forget to do the jet ski glitch at the end. So.
Definitely.
What do you want?
So, if you're interested in running RE4, once again, you can find our Discord channel on speedrun.com. If you go to Resident Evil 4, and then on the sidebar on the left, I believe, you can join the Discord. We're a very friendly community. We have a lot of new runners join lately. A lot of people are interested in the game. So this game is sort of has a resurgence. We have a lot of resources. Even though there's not resources for every single category, our Discord is very friendly. We have a very knowledgeable people in the channel, and they always are down to help out with particular sections of the game. So New Game Pro is the most popular one, which is what Joe's running. New Game Plus Normal is also, I think, the second most common category, but there's also Separate Ways or Assignment Ada, which are Ada categories. And then there's always No Merchant Pro, which is a very tough category. Basically, you run the game without buying any weapons from the merchant.
Umbrella.
So, and then we get the C8 coming up here. So, yeah. So I believe after this run, Joe's going to do an Assignment Ada run. So basically, it's like an alternate universe thing. I'll re-explain that later. But it's like a side story in an alternate universe with Ada.
Do I have time for a little quick donation?
Yeah, we do.
Right, so we have a $20 donation from Razor360. Hey, thank
Nice.
you for the chance to run in this
It's not like you're
marathon.
gonna
Awesome
skip your
cause. Good luck with the
inevitable
runs.
death, is it?
Thank you, Razor. Really appreciate that.
Yep. So like I was saying earlier, if anyone can find a way to skip this cutscene,
More or less.
it would be very great.
Maybe it's
So it's a 3-minute time
save.
save.
You're here.
Maybe some other time.
Okay.
If
So
you guys want to know more about the backstory of like Leon and Krauser, I believe it's explained on the spin-off Wii rail shooter game. I think it's called the Umbrella Chronicles. So you guys can check that out.
yeah. So fun fact: these lasers, if you go out of bounds, so sort of like those swinging axes earlier, if you go out of bounds on this section, you still die to the lasers. And then you should do the thing, Joe. Here.
Yeah. So the funnel is there. Oh, I skipped the cutscene, but yeah.
Yeah, this is a cool Easter egg. He just sits on the throne. But that's also when you sit on the throne and then you leave it, you see a treasure. So you see a treasure spawn, so it's like an indicator. You see that
Right on
shiny thing?
top.
Yeah. I believe it's an elegant headdress which sells for 10,000 pesetas. Okay, so we're coming up. Basically, it's sort of like this last section of the game is just back-to-back hard sections. So we're gonna run across 2 bosses. This first boss we're coming up on is called U3, or if you watch the cutscene with Sadler after the Krauser fight, Sadler refers to the boss as it. And then this first section, you're in like this maze in 3 rooms, and then you can't kill U3 there right away, but you just need to escape. And then, so he's gonna shoot these triggers here so that you can trigger. So for each room, you have to shoot 2 switches, or you have to activate 2 switches to get out of the room. And sometimes you have to shoot these, green lights on the doors to open the doors. So here we shoot one of them. And some of this movement manipulation is pretty tight on U3. So if you're not careful, then you can die in 1 hit to U3. And then this next section here, you can do this with or without Dimmin. What Joe's gonna do, you can clip this grenade through the wall, because there's a little switch on the other side that typically what you would have to do, you have to run around, shoot the switch, come back, and then to activate this button right here. But if you throw the grenade through the wall, you just clip through it, and you never have to run around. And this boss is more durable than other bosses, so he doesn't die to rocket launcher, as you can see here. Instead, he dies to a rocket launcher and a knife. So that's amazing. But it's actually cool because remember how Leon can have invincibility frames? Like this boss has invincibility frames. So if you shoot it with a rocket launcher and you try to shoot or knife U3 too early, it won't kill him. You have to wait for a certain amount. You have to wait for like a few seconds. Okay, so we're coming up on the last merchant of the game. So this last merchant, basically we do another weapon swap. We basically switch out, I believe, our TMP. Yeah, we switch out our TMP for the Killer 7, which is a Magnum. And the Magnum is really strong. For speedruns, for casual play, I think a lot of people like the Broken Butterfly because you can upgrade it to the max with its exclusive, which has a firepower of 50. The Killer 7 only upgrades to 35. But we don't upgrade our weapons in a speedrun. The Killer 7 starts off with stronger stats than the Broken Butterfly.
What are you buying?
And we get our last rocket launcher of the game, which will be used on the final boss. But so for this Krauser section, basically there's 3 sections to Krauser, and we just want to get past each one. If you damage Krauser enough, he throws a flash grenade, which allows you to move on to the next section. So here I'm going to be quiet a little bit because I think Joe has a precise Magnum shot coming up. Alright, that's good. So he shoots Krauser twice in the body. You can aim for the head, but in my opinion, it's harder.
But a lot riskier. Oh. Alright.
Yeah, so you shoot Krauser 3 times in the body, he throws the flash grenade. then now we're moving on to the next section. So let's see what Krauser gives us here. He gives us the bow. Okay, so Joe did a very risky thing. With the bow, Krauser has like sometimes really, really amazing tracking of Leon on the bow. And if you get hit by the bow, it's like 80% 1-hit KO. But luckily Joe didn't get hit. And then he has this second Krauser section. Basically, you shoot Krauser in the head once, walk backwards a little bit, and then shoot Krauser again in the body.
So it was actually recently found out by the Japanese speedrunning community that if the Krauser pulls out the bow, if you pull your camera down, that's actually less likely you get hit.
Oh,
You can still get hit,
I've
but
done
it's just
that.
like less likely.
Yeah, I've done that. I've gotten killed by Krauser, so I'm never trusting that again. But yeah, earlier what we were... so there's a statue skip there. So what Joe did earlier, if you push the statue far enough and then let go at a certain time, then you can basically push the statue straight onto the trigger. Normally you would push the statue past the trigger, then you have to push it back because of how like the walls are oriented. And fun fact, Krauser takes more damage with a knife. So you'll see the beauty of it coming up.
Prepare for your death, Leon.
Yeah, we call that cheating. But no, but yeah, the Krauser, he takes a lot of damage with a knife. He takes even more damage if you knife him to the head. But that can be difficult to do. So we're coming up on arguably one of the harder sections of the game. It is execution heavy, but it's also RNG heavy in the sense that sometimes you can get shot by an arrow or a machine gun, and you have to be able to adapt to all the enemies. No, not all enemies take extra damage from the knife. So I think it's only a couple of them. I think it's Krauser, and I actually don't know. Maybe it's only Krauser. Because all the other enemies take more.
Probably Stellar on separate ways.
Yeah, I don't know much about separate ways, but so we're here on the military base. So this is all like pretty much like it's high execution as well. Basically, if you get hit by a bow and arrow, that's okay, but it's just that you see runners take a bunch of heals throughout this game, and they bring it for this particular section. You can get hit like a million times. And then basically you need to use all your heals up here. So we're gonna trigger this lever here, and then it allows us to reset the checkpoint so there's no more enemies at the bottom. So it's similar to Waterhall's second phase. Okay, so this section, it sounds really straightforward, but you have to do this section fast, because if you go slow, the Gatling guns are on a pseudo cycle-ish because they track Leon, but like if you go too slow on the Gatling guns, then they will... Okay, that's good. If you go too slow, then the Gatling guns will track you, and then like if you get hit by it, more enemies can create a bump off you if you get hit, and that's not good. Okay, so the Gatling guns killed their own dynamite, so that's good. Alright, I'm gonna just be quiet for now because I'm gonna let Joe concentrate. Alright, okay, that was perfect. So basically he got through that room, that was like amazing execution, and he basically, the enemies were either climbing up or down the ladder and they weren't going to hit him, and that's all pre-planned out in this game. And also that door, that loading door Joe just went through, it's like the room that has the highest possibility to crash. So sometimes you're pretty much at the end of the game, and then the game crashes, and then it's over. And then you can't really recover it for whatever reason. The game has been known to crash in other rooms, but this particular room in 5-4 is the most common one. So a lot of runners, they just pray before they enter this door, even because they got through a hard section, and then if the game crashes, it's over. And unfortunately, there's no way to fix that crash from what we know. So we pick up a backup Magnum ammo here. And we're gonna go through the the last hard room in the game. So this is the second war room phase. It's more RNG heavy, and Joe's going to take a very specific route that allows, at the very end, he has to run to the door, and hopefully there's no enemies down there. And the route he's taking here is going to manipulate all the enemies so they don't appear at the bottom. Okay.
Oh boy.
Okay, so he got chain locked there. So the thing that's unfortunate about Resident Evil 4 is that sometimes you get hit by an enemy, and then the other enemies don't aggro you right away, and then right when you're recovering from getting hit, the enemies hit you again, and like you could be spamming the pause or inventory button, and there's nothing you can do.
I didn't flash and get it. It was my bad.
Okay, so the cool thing here is that when he shoots the guy in the red hat that drops a treasure, it stuns the other enemies. So when the other enemies are stunned, they can hold that door open. Because you lose Ditman when you kick open a door.
Wow.
Yeah, so luckily he had enough time there because Joe was gonna get hit.
This is really unfortunate.
Yeah, he needs to be careful
I'm
here.
gonna shoot them.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good recovery. Alright, so let's see how the rest of this section goes. So we're worried about what happens when he jumps in. Alright, so it looks clear, so that's good. So you see, like this section, sometimes even the best of runners, they can get screwed over by this section. So that's why we have all these backup heals, just in case.
I'm gonna play to be safe just because I'm not very confident at this point. I don't have
Yeah.
any more kills.
Okay, and then we do another wait, follow me manipulation here. So the enemy comes out earlier so we can bait him to swinging. And fun fact, this cutscene here, if you skip this cutscene really fast, Ashley actually doesn't spawn next to you. So she'll be behind where the enemies are and she can crouch and hide from the enemies. But if you let that cutscene play even for like half a second, then Ashley will spawn right next to you once you proceed. So Sadler, he's not a hard boss. We do something very specific with the Killer 7 rocket launcher. So basically, you shoot him in the eye with the Killer 7, then you shoot him in the leg with the Killer 7, then you shoot him in the main eye, then you rocket launcher him in the eye. You have to hit him specifically there, and then Ada will drop the special rocket launcher, which will instantly KO Sadler. So fun fact on New Game Plus, if you start the game with the special rocket launcher, it doesn't do anything different. It does sell for twice as much as a normal rocket launcher, and it does kill Sadler in one hit from the very beginning if you keep it. So what Joe's gonna do, he's gonna do the most important glitch in the game. So if you don't do this glitch, your run gets invalidated, and I know that because I'm a moderator for the game. But I'm joking. We wouldn't invalidate your run for this. But remember that the Ditman glitch speeds up all animations, so you have to see it one more time here. He's gonna Ditman to the key, and
Yeek.
yep, he just yeets out of there. So yeah, so this last section, basically you just need to go fast because sometimes like there's like a tide of like a wave coming behind you. If you go too slow, the wave catches you and it's an instant kill. If you run into any walls, it's an instant kill or rocks. When I first played this section, I died here like 6 times, no joke. But this entire section is the same. There's no RNG involved at all. So once you play the game enough, you know exactly how this section goes. But yeah, I think that's it. And time is coming up.
Coming up really soon. And time.
Yep, time here.
Big GGs.
Yep. So that's good. Thank you guys for letting us run this game. Thank you, Joe, for putting up an awesome run. just if you guys want to speedrun Resident Evil 4, our Discord channels is on speedrun.com. If you just look up Resident Evil 4, but I'll leave closing remarks for this run to you guys.
Hunnigan, is that you?
I wonder what my final time
Hey,
is.
Hunnigan, no glasses.
Yeah, we can skip that because we have to do the Simon Ada run as well, right?
I've rescued the subject.
Yeah.
We're returning home.
Can I have my real time? I'm interested. I'm really interested to know like what my real time is.
So I stopped it at 1:42:38, but I think I was late.
No, that's
That's
fine. That's actually a
Yeah.
really decent time.
Yeah, that's a good time for a marathon run. So there's a lot of things can go wrong, as you can see. All right, and I think we're gonna move on into assignment Ada, right?
And we can have a short
should.
break for.
Yep, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll have JoeKoh back doing assignment Ada. So we'll be right back.
Alright guys, welcome back. Now we are back for more Resident Evil 4, but this time we are doing a assignment Ada. This is pretty much a side story that doesn't follow the main storyline. So I'm gonna count it down from 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so assignment Ada, it is a short category. It's like less than 10 minutes. The fastest runners are under 4 minutes and 30 seconds. It's a very short category. So as expected from short speedruns, it's highly optimized. All the movements are very specific. Like it looks like, even myself, I barely play assignment Ada, but all these small movements they save small amounts of time, which adds up a lot in this run. But there's also very specific enemy manipulations as well. So you'll see coming up here, so you're gonna see this cutscene happen, and Joe's gonna run up the stairs at a specific angle and pause and then run. Yeah, so basically if you go too fast, the mace guy, the JJ, the enemy with the machine gun will hit you, and the mace guys will hit you. So it's actually it's very strict. I've tried running this category and it's not easy at all.
This category is like 95% movement and like 5% execution.
Yeah, like all the execution is the movement. Like if you lose time, it's like almost guaranteed it's your fault. Yeah, so curves matter a lot more. Taking straight lines matter a lot more. So he's gonna do camera manipulation here. I think he's gonna aim the camera down, and that prevents the archer in front from shooting at you. Is that right, Joe?
Yes, and because in assignment Ada, the difficulty isn't as high as the new game professional run, so you can actually like run past the enemies a lot easier. Well, not easier, but they don't track you as hard as in professional difficulty.
Oh, you almost got hit there. So this next section is actually, I personally hate this section that's coming up. So you're gonna have to dodge like 3 enemies at once, and I have no idea how to dodge them.
The first guy can just like swing early like that. I'm gonna shoot them just because I can't run past them because the first guy hit me. If the first guy doesn't hit you, you can just like run past all of them. I'm gonna take the backup herb. And during the run, you'll see me like collecting the 5 plaga samples. This is the objective of the game. You collect 5 plaga samples and get out of there.
So he's gonna wait for a specific amount of time. So these enemies, yeah, so he has to weave around the enemies in a very specific way. So if you go too early or too late, then it actually affects the enemies. It's a big deal. Like there's so much nuance in this category, it's actually insane. I think one of the best runners of the game, Louis Serra, he, ironic, it's the same name as the Louis in the cabin, but he is really knowledgeable about this game. He just released the guide for assignment Ada. How long is that guide, Joe?
You mean his record?
You know, his assignment Ada guide.
Yeah, I know. I believe his time for assignment Ada is 4:23.
Yeah, but I think his guide is like 2 or 3 hours for like a full.
Yeah, his guide is like, well, I walked in the wrong direction. That's fine. His guide is like 2 hours long.
Yeah, like imagine a 2-hour guide.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's fine. We have backup heals, so we're good. But yeah, like I think his guide is like 2 or 3 hours for a 5-minute category, so it's insane.
So this guy below the stairs, he's actually really scary. He tend to not cooperate, but not this time. He can basically like just hit you early whenever he wants, and you get hit and all the room like you won't be able to keep up because the enemies will be aggro on you. But we got the good RNG. Or not. I missed my final rifle shot. That's fine. He should be dead now. I'm a bit dangerous on heals right now.
Yeah, it's a danger mode right here. I'm like holding my.
Really dangerous.
Okay, don't worry. We are fine with that green herb.
You run slower in yellow health and you run even slower in red health. Oh wow, that was really close. So ideally you want to be in green like all the time. Being in yellow could really mess you up. And this is the final boss. Surprisingly, it's guess who? It's Krauser again. And we're pretty much going to be using the same strat, like using knife. But oh, I got it.
Oh, that was good. Yeah, so
it's
like
actually harder than it seemed.
Yeah, the strategy, I believe you shoot Krauser in like the leg a few times, then you knife him in the head, then like the leg, then the head again. Is that right?
No, you knife him in the leg first and then the head.
Yeah.
If you knife
like
him in the head, you will like stagger, and time is coming up in like 3 seconds, and time.
Yeah. And that's it.
GG.
So Simon Hida is a really short category for speedrun. Obviously, if you do everything right, it's under 5 minutes. If you play casually, I believe you can also do it in like, I don't know, half an hour. So yeah, it's a really short category.
Yeah, but yeah, thanks again for having us here to showcase Resident Evil 4. It's a great speed game. If you guys are interested, again, there's Discord plugin on speedrun.com, and we're always happy to have new runners. So,
Well, thank you so much for being here. It's been absolutely wonderful having you two around.
all right, thank you, and have a
Thank
great
you so much for
weekend,
having
everyone.
us. Thank you, Team Velocity, for letting us showcase the run. I appreciate it.